this is super, super valuable, what we're about to share with you guys, because she's got the secrets inside of the safe to get you into top tech. And she's going to share them today with me. I'm really excited.
Five tips.
5 tips. And we're going to walk over to where we are going to shoot this video.
Exactly.
We're going to place this camera and we are going to get started. Hey, how you doing? My name's John. I am a senior product manager at Amazon, and I have a special guest on today who is a recruiter for Amazon. She was a former CPA, and I figured it'd be really valuable to have her come on.
So like John said, I am a CPA by trade and now working as a finance recruiter for Amazon AWS finance team.
Yeah.
And we're here to talk about 5 main tips that is important if you want to get your foot into a big tech company or any company.
Yeah, so these tips apply not just to Amazon, these apply to any big tech company.
Exactly, especially
Awesome.
if you're applying online. So these are the things that recruiters look for.
Okay, and so this is 5 tips specific to applying online.
Applying online.
Got it,
that's
and
correct.
standing out while applying online. Okay,
Exactly.
perfect.
Tip number 1 is that you want to do your research and understand the organizational structure, because there are a lot of organizations where their titles are inflated, and there are organizations out there where they have a very flat matrix, like Amazon.
Right, that's right.
Very, very flat.
Very flat matrix, yeah.
So what you want to do is do your research, ping people who are working for that company or people that you may know, just kind of understand how the leveling or the titles work in that organization before you apply. So what might be happening is that you might be applying for a role that you could either be overqualified or underqualified because you don't understand the structure of that organization. I mean, you can attest to that, right? Coming here with a title where you probably thought, wait, that just on my resume looks like I'm not progressing, but that's not the case.
Yeah, what's crazy, so I came from American Express, right? And American Express had, my job title there was senior manager, right? So senior manager is basically like a senior product manager. But at Amazon, senior manager is a whole different ballgame, right? So most people enter at Amazon in a product type role as a senior product manager, and then a senior manager would be thought of as a higher title. And so these leveling things are very tricky to kind of navigate. And the best thing to do is to try to reach out to somebody, have a coffee chat with somebody in the organization already to try to figure out what that leveling actually is and what your title should be for the role.
Exactly, and you never know where that coffee conversation could lead you.
That's right, that coffee conversation could lead you in the door, right? So I'm always preaching about how you should definitely be doing coffee chats.
Exactly, and that way you're not coming across as somebody who is pinging somebody because you want to get hired or you want a specific role. You're simply saying, hey, I would love to learn a little bit more about your role and what your organization does and how things are leveled there, so that I can get a little bit more information, and it comes across more indirect and genuine, and that you don't know where that conversation may actually end up leading.
Tip number 2.
You want to make sure that your job title matches the job title of a role that you're applying for. This is more based on, let's say that like John is here as a product manager, but a product manager could be called a program manager somewhere
at Microsoft, for example. Right?
Exactly.
And then if you're keying that in, like if you're applying online and you're keying in program manager, the recruiter's going to overlook you, right? And it's not any kind of bias, right? They're looking for that specific title, and they're piling through thousands of resumes. Basically, they're applying online, they should put program manager and product manager, put their actual title, on there in the title field of the application. And then right next to it in brackets, you're putting product manager as well for the specific title, right? So that at least you can be found in search when they're piling through thousands of resumes.
Exactly, and like John said, it is not a bias in any way at all. Essentially, all it is that recruiters go through thousands of resumes a day.
Cognitive load, right? It's like, it's crazy,
So you can picture a bin and there's resumes piled up, and what are we gonna do? Since we have technology, we do a Boolean search. So that's essentially a keyword search. And that keyword search is all made up of job titles, certain keywords, and education or designation. So in that case, if let's say you're applying for a program manager role, but your resume is all made up of saying product manager, that may not get picked up.
Right. And so one nuance in here, right? We're not advocating to apply for a role that is not based on your responsibilities. What we're advocating for is if at Microsoft you're doing product management stuff, but your title is program manager because of the organizational structure, right? You don't want to be left out of the pile because you have those skills, right? So it's just a titling situation here that we're really referencing.
Exactly, and it could be that you are a business analyst in one company, but you're actually doing a responsibility of a financial analyst.
That's right.
So when now you're applying for a financial analyst role, you want to make sure you either have a business
that
analyst.
Title is in there. Right.
Exactly, because recruiters only have 30 seconds to look at a resume, and then we're going to just look at titles, we're going to look at education, we're going to look at tenure, we're going to look at keywords, and we're going to move on to the next resume.
This is super valuable, guys.
Tip number 3, your formatting is the most important thing, and content comes secondary.
Okay, now you might be freaking out and you might be like, oh my God, I can't believe she just said that. I had a LinkedIn post that we're talking about this exact topic and people were like hating on me for talking about formatting being important. But why, Raman, does this matter so much?
So you might think that, hey, content is more important, so I'm going to write all the great things that I need to write on a resume. However, formatting is the most important thing because a recruiter or a hiring manager will have 30 seconds to look at a resume, if not less. So that means that your resume has to be formatted in such a simple and traditional way that's easy for the brain to read and digest that information. So if your resume is not formatted in the right, traditional way.
Traditional way, right?
Right. It may just get overlooked because it's essentially just too much for the brain to read all that text. Now, that is why LinkedIn is great and why people use LinkedIn a lot. I personally look at LinkedIn first before I even read anything on a resume because it's a lot easier for the brain to digest with all the colors. It's in the right way. They all look the similar.
Easy to read, mobile device as well, right? It's on a mobile.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you said that. So when you see a resume first, do you click on the link in somebody's header to actually go to their LinkedIn profile? Is that like one of the first things you do? Like, because first of all, you're doing your Boolean search, right? Based on title. You found somebody's resume, you're like, this is the bomb. Like, this person's awesome.
Right.
What's the next step? Like, after you've kind of scanned through education and what have you, are you going right there?
Before I even see whether this is a good profile, before I even read anything on a resume, I will do just a quick 10-minute glance to look at just like, the title. The first thing is the first title that's there and how long that person's been there and about their education. And then I'll look at LinkedIn. So usually when I do just a keyword search, I usually the first thing I do is take their name, put in LinkedIn, put in the company that they're working at, and then I find them.
Okay, very cool, very cool. So that's actually a first step. After like 10 minutes read, you kind of like, this person's good, then you're going over to LinkedIn.
Yes, exactly. But I never not look at LinkedIn.
Yeah, okay, so it's always a component.
Yes, it's always a component.
All right, this is good to know because I'm harping about LinkedIn all the time.
It's very important. Now, every recruiter is different. Some recruiters will traditionally like the traditional way of looking at resumes. To each their own, right? There's no right or there's no wrong. However, as the world is becoming more digital, eventually LinkedIn is just going to be a place where people go in and look at that information because like I said, it's a lot easier for the brain to read that information. B, you can actually click on companies. You can click on so many other information to get a broader picture of that, of that resume or of that person.
Well, it brings standard formatting global. Right? And that's the beauty of it too, right? The cognitive load is very easy for a recruiter. Just can't scan through a worldwide 275 million active users on LinkedIn and be like, it all looks the same, right?
Exactly.
Which is awesome. Which is why she talks about standard formatting, right?
Tip number 4. Of course, we talked about formatting is important, but content is then becomes secondary, but it's also just as important. So you pass the first bar of formatting, and then you have to pass the second bar of content.
It's more important, right? We all recognize that content is more important right? But formatting is like that first window into the opportunity, right?
Exactly.
So just recognize what we're trying to say here. We're not saying formatting is like the end-all be-all over content. It's just the process of recruiter and going through and getting to the meat, right?
Exactly. It's the first door you have to get.
The first door that you have to open up.
Pass,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that when it comes to your bullet points, you're not just listing your responsibilities.
Yes. 100%. I talk about this all the time.
I mean, we already know if I'm looking at a title, I will know what that person does in terms of what their responsibilities are. But what I want to read is the impact that they left. You know, what kind of impact they had on the business, how they solved problems, how they delivered results.
You're looking for how they can deliver for you and your organization.
Exactly. How do you, how can you add value? How do I add value when I'm applying somewhere?
That's right. Yeah.
And just like location is important to a successful business. Just like that, impact is important for resume detail.
So true. All right. Tip number 5. This is the closing tip.
Before the camera dies.
Yeah, that's right. Before the camera dies. Yeah, we're out of battery.
Which is the most important tip. You want to make sure that your LinkedIn profile matches your resume, that your LinkedIn profile is updated, that your LinkedIn profile under each job title has some summary of the impact that you've left for that organization, and that you want to include a really great summary. Basically, you want to have a LinkedIn profile that looks like LinkedIn 2.0, and that sometimes, because I'll look at a resume and I'm like, I don't think this is gonna go through, pass it to the next level. And then I'll go on their LinkedIn and be like, oh, you know what? This is actually a really nice profile.
Yeah, it's like they look different.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And that's not, when I say they look, that's not about somebody's profile picture.
No.
Not at all.
Not at all.
That is just that LinkedIn just has the ability to be, it's very presentable, it's very visual, and it just is something that you're able to include information that you will not be able to include on your resume. So you can have attachments.
More rich media, more attachments, things like that, right? It's multi-layered, right?
Endorsements.
Exactly. All of the endorsements, companies that you follow, right? Interests, posts that you've made, right?
Exactly.
Any kind of content that you've created, so
so that's actually important too. So when I come across a really great profile, I'll actually look at their activity to see what kind of content they've been publishing, what they like, what they don't like. It's like, back in the days, well, maybe it's still active now.
It's like MySpace?
It's like you go into somebody's Facebook and be like, oh, I want to know what they write about or what they're into. Now it has become where LinkedIn activity is that news feed where you go in and say, hey, you know what? I want to look at what this person likes, what their dislikes are, what they write about, and what they comment on, or those kind of things. And that's never ever held against you, to be honest, because that's an expression of who you are as an individual. But all I want to say is that it is starting to play a really key role in your job search.
Do you guys hear that? Really key role creating content, right? Recruiter trying to form an opinion and shape their opinion about whether you're going to be a good fit or not. I'm always talking to people about how they should be posting content about things they're passionate about, right? Because if you're truly passionate about something, recruiter's going to go onto your LinkedIn profile and really see it, and that is your key differentiator.
Exactly. And in this tips, mainly we talked about online, right? People who apply online. But having a really great LinkedIn profile is how you're going to get to opportunities without actually having to apply online.
That's right. And you're going to find me.
Exactly.
And that is so critical. That's what I'm trying to tell people all the time. It's like, it is the world's biggest search engine. That's what LinkedIn is for jobs. So leverage it.
I might be on LinkedIn and then all of a sudden I see a post from somebody. I'm like, oh wow, great post. I'm gonna just look at their profile and I'll message that person. And then now all of a sudden you have just overrun this application bin of being somewhere in the middle of 1,000 resumes of that job to the key person.
People. Top of mind.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
That's right. And if you're top of mind, and you're now the #1 favorite because she found you, you now can dictate salary. You now have leverage to do other things that you would not have been able to do if you were applying through the pile, right? Because they now want you because you're top of pile.
Exactly. And I just recently messaged somebody who I saw that they posted, they were part of a employer video and saw that video, and I was like, wow, it's an amazing what that person is doing.
Yeah.
And messaged that person, and now we're in a conversation. So get involved in things in community and at work, or you know, different things that you could showcase yourself as somebody that is more than a resume, more than a job, you know, title, more than a job description or responsibilities.
That's right.
And you can come in front of recruiters and hiring managers and just cut the line. It's like cutting the line, but in a nice way.
Yeah, you're cutting the line, but in a nice way. That's a perfect way to summarize it. All right, so those are the 5 tips that Raman and I have for you today. Hopefully, I can't speak, you love them. Hopefully they can help you in your job search to land in big tech. And we'll have to do another video at some point pretty soon here. She's got tons of insights in that brain of hers. She's just like, she's like this safe of like incredible information for job seekers, right?
It is.
We unlocked the safe tonight.
Yeah, you get the inside tips of a recruiter that normally would not give you the tips.
That's right. That's right.
Because that just makes your job easier.
That's right. It just makes your job easier. That's the name of the game. All right. Well.
So yes, make your job easier.
Yeah.
Sorry, make your job easier, and you know, go on LinkedIn, create content, share content, and just display who you are as an individual.
That's right.
And that would go a long way.
Key takeaway: we are more than just our resume from a LinkedIn perspective. So share that story, and I promise you will be rewarded for it.
Yeah.
Right. High five.